I'm Mr. Layerman, and today I will be casting the second game of the Breath of the Wild Winter Tournament of 2023. This is a game between Team Gary and Team Esiek. Or Esiek? Yeah, Esiek. This is a series of three. Esiek is pausing the game very quickly at the start here. And okay. So basically, Esiek is going to Team Esiek is going to be starting on evil, and Team Gary, G Fire, of course, is going to be starting on good. This is the first game of the series of three. Whoever wins 2 out of the 3 games of the series will win their matchup and advance closer to the finals of this round robin tournament. 2 brackets.
Can I comment on the team matchup here?
Sure. Go ahead.
'Cause I think
Nobody
G-
who's playing is in here, right? Yeah. We're good. We're good.
I think I'm unsure about taking G Unit on Neck to start because Bonzi and Dubious are both pretty decent Neck players. So
Yeah, that is true. Like, especially since G-Unifier, he's not super familiar with this game. He does not actually play this very often. So having him on a faction that does require quite a bit of game knowledge might be a little bit of a disadvantage. But Dubious on Zora is also a very solid pick regardless. Now we do see Dr. Maggot with his yellow Arb from Ego Fortress rotated to the middle already. He's actually going for this general area, but there are no actual turrets here, so he might be converging for, yep, a double on wetlands. Let's see if Teal also joins in. Teal should be joining in here. That's typically what Teal does. Meanwhile, Dr. Margit is going to be flying his Arbiter back into Ganon Center, which is generally speaking the meta play. Now, Dr. Maggot actually is kind of sitting far back a little bit, not actually getting into the battle. What is this? Oh, he's trying to defend over on Watchtower, so that double seems like it was not to be. Ganon just solo pushing wetlands here, but that actually does not result in quite enough damage. G-Unifier has actually rotated down to try and deny overrun Watchtower with Trex on Gyarados. And in the north, we have Teal actually fighting Rito instead, Esiek being Teal and Bonzi being Rito. And in the east, Hatesphere and Bronator are just duking it out in their 1v1. So even though Dr. Maggot did have his ARB in a forward position at the start, and he didn't actually go for wetlands, and that's because he was going for flight range. Now, Trex has his ARB up here at flight range, a very nice bit of preemptive positioning from Good here. They anticipated a rotate on flight range, possibly because of the events of the first game between Team Explosive and Team... I think it was... Wait, who played the first game again? It was Team Explosive and
Team Chris.
Chris, yeah, Team Chris. So possibly based off the events of the first game, Good has actually gotten an ARP here. Now, Windblight Goron again and going very far ahead, almost going down. No actual heroes actually died in that engagement, though. That was a triple with Teal, Yellow, and Ganon all up top. But since Gyarados had the foresight to bring an ARB up here, this push was mostly actually diffused. Very good play by Good. Now, somebody is going to be moving his ARB back into position. Is Dr. Maggot's ARB in the area to assist? Not quite, it seems. Dr. Maggot's second ARB is missing in action. I don't quite see it. Did it get sniped? And meanwhile, in the east, Unibo is lost by Hate Fury, so that probably just means Red loses the matchup, which is not ideal. Somebody does push with 3 medics by the way. As we're getting a little bit low due to a flank by Bonzi, really with only one faction there pushing flight range, Evil did not actually get that much progress done. Meanwhile, Dr. Maggot is actually just attacking in the bottom, defending over on Watchtower from the double of Necluda and Gyarados. It looks like Dr. Maggot, I think this is Gas 1 mask, to my knowledge. I might be wrong on this.
He has the Stalker out, so it can't be
he has
tier
the
1.
Stalker, so... Oh, wait, no, that means there's no gases in Overrun Watchtower, so Is Maggot actually skipping Moldu King in anticipation of an Occluda rotate? Possibly. Meanwhile, I can't see his ARB anywhere, so I feel like Dr. Maggot actually lost an ARB in the engagement earlier. It got perhaps intercepted as it moved backwards. Oh, wait, no, he actually recalled out his ARB, but now his second ARB is actually trapped down here. He can't actually do much with it. I suppose you could sneak it out through this direction, but there's a lot of turrets just lining the map, making that a bit difficult. So Evil has not really managed to secure any major spawn denies or hero denies in the early game, which is never a good sign in a game where good is heavily favored in the one-on-one matchups, or 2-on-1 in the case of this one. Riju has finished mourning, so Gerudo Palace is actually being upgraded first instead of Karakara Bazaar. If Ganon comes down to go for Bazaar, Evil might be able to actually deny Tali. She's still 2 gases away from coming out. Hateno Village, second gas, so Laurelin can't be denied here if Evil does see this opportunity. And again, somebody going for the north, doubling flight range with Esiek. Now, it looks like flight range is going to go down here, even though Gerudo was here to defend. Esiek had too much mass cover to really be chased away. Meanwhile, Chio was chopped down within a trade for Aster. So good there, just traded flight range and Chio for Aster. Now, Teba also escaped with 39 HP. That was almost extremely bad for good there. And Teba is still mourning, by the way. Esiek is just sieging down the front turrets of Rito Village, even though he is a little bit banged up from the kill on flight range. He still has enough mass cover to deal quite a lot of damage. Strips out a handful of the cannons in the front of Rito Village, making any future pushes just a bit harder for good to defend. Frozen Tundra does come down for Esiek as well. Does look like a North build. Meanwhile, Hate Fury still has Abandoned Mine alive, despite losing Yunobo pretty much for free early on. Golden Bokoblin out, by the way. Unifier is still upgrading Hateno Village, so Hudson the Carpenter is going to come out in a second. And down here, Overrun Watchtower is continuing to be doubled by good here. Guardian Stalker might be going down if they are not careful. Luckily for Dr. Maggot, there was not a lot of DPS on the south side of a despawn. Riju upgrade is gotten on Gerudo Palace, so that indicates that Rex has swapped gas to Karakara Bazaar, presumably. Somebody is actually here to try and deny it, but it looks like he just didn't really have the power with Aster having been traded for Chayo to really do much. Tabafa Village has been gotten by Teba here. Ponzi on an extra spawn. Moldu King does come out, so Good was unable to deny Moldu King. This should actually prove to be a very major boon for Evil. Not getting Moldu King denied while denying Morning on Teba. Meanwhile, though, Bazaar is going to be very difficult for Evil to deny now that Aster is down. Ganon is severely weakened for quite a while until Harbinger Ganon does come out, which is going to take quite a while, especially since somebody went for Silver Nile. And I'm not actually sure if this is the City Guardian Stalker or the main spawn Guardian Stalker. Larnu Citadel Crossing is actually obstructed. Gunfire grabs Fort Hateno, makes it so that Esiek cannot go for Hateno Village. Not easily, at least. Overrun Watchtower does actually go down, though, so Dr. Maggot's 2 gas is still gone, leaving him severely behind in actual mass output. Meanwhile, Wetlands still hasn't actually gone down. Somebody trying to push it down, but in the end, just not having the power for it because of dubious MD's stacked up mass and the lack of Aster for somebody. In the North Bonsi, converging probably for an attack on Esiek, while Esiek actually comes out and goes for an attack on possibly Rararu military camp, or actually no, that this seems to be a miss micro of mass. So deciding this much mass, especially a couple of elite TLoZs, is going to be a pretty rough set of circumstances for Esiek. He really does want to keep this mass alive in the early game, especially since a lot of these are elites. Bit of a misplay there. Somebody still attacking Wetlands with Esiek's help. White is here to actually defend, which will make this push quite difficult for Evil. Despite having the outer cannons actually stripped down on Wetlands, Evil just does not have the power to really dive in for these cannons. If you are going to go for these cannons, you gotta commit, because there's so many cannons in such a small area. Luzu does enter the fight as well. That is, I believe, on the main spawn, right? Or no, it's on this spawn, Rutaho Valley. Igneo Talus Titan does come out for Bronator. This should make his pushes on red significantly faster. As we can see here, Sutter Mine's rightmost cannons have been partially stripped, which means that this spawn is not going to last that much longer. Rohan the Goran Smith does come out. Cloyne the Gambler also comes out, so Dr. Maggot was not able to actually deny this in time, as he's literally just now attacking the spawn. Now Cloyne, if G-Unit is not careful, he might accidentally lose Cloyne there, but no, he is paying attention. Good control by G-Unit. Using Cloyne to just poke a little bit. Ooh, hold on, he moves Cloyne a bit too far forward in this fight. Somebody is actually also here, didn't actually notice that. Takes down the spawn, but with Cloyne already out, they haven't really denied the hero. They just denied 5 mass cycle, which is still not negligible. Suttermine still alive. Borin might actually be coming out for Hate Fury. If I were in Hate Fury's shoes, I would have actually just gone for Suttermine, try and gotten a Borin out. Now that Hate Fury still has 2 gases to go for Borin, it's going to be inconclusive whether or not he can get it. Rohan's Actor Bug with recalling units does get applied there. His beams are following Bronator across the map. Divine Dragon Farosh actually comes out for Dr. Maggot. Just an extra hero, always nice to have in any case. Meanwhile, Esiek is converging on Rito Village with somebody. Now, Trex is here to defend, but Dr. Maggot is in position to push, so Genifire has to actually defend Gyarados for Gyarados, while Gyarados defends Rito Village with Rito. Esiek has a pretty low Windblack Ganon. Has been doing a good job cannon targeting. A Guardian Stalker does rush forward a little bit. Almost not really going down, to be fair. Most of Good's heroes are still mostly healthy, although they are losing a lot of their mass cover, and Evil actually pulls out of this rotation. Teal is instead going to try and slow down Zora's push on the Defiled Spring of Wisdom. Kupanga Village also out here. Wetlands is now kind of fortified. Bonsi has an Arb here. Good has actually set up a pretty good defensive net of Arbiters to defend against any Evil rotates. Arbor's Ground also comes out for Trex. So Gyarados has a ton of mass throughput right now and has plenty of padding for their spawns, defending the Palace and kind of not really Bazaar. There's actually not much defending Bazaar right now. But Tully has actually come out. Giotto actually finally comes out. Typically Giotto is a first gas for Zora, so I am a bit surprised to actually see Giotto come out this late into the game on, I think, gas 4. Sandon Park finally goes down, by the way. That was a pretty big buff to Hyrule, or Necluda mass HP that was just kind of on units for free. Meanwhile, GBSMD is going to want to defend this push by Esiek. Brunk does get very far forward, almost goes down, but instead a Guardian Stalker does go down for Esiek. It looks like that trade did not work out in Esiek's favor. Frank does get down to about 300 HP, but it's not enough to die. And in that exchange, Guardian Stalker does go down. So Evil starting to lose momentum, starting to lose a little bit of steam, not really making any major progress. Abandoned Mine has gone down at the very least, so in the Northeast matchup, Bronator is still winning. Shrine of Power has actually come out as well. Frost does die in the South, though, so even though Evil is winning in the Northeast, Evil is still kind of behind right now. Patricia goes very low and actually goes down. Suga almost gets traded out, but not quite. Trex loses Patricia. Very close to killing Molduking and Suga on 150 and 300 HP respectively. A little bit of a boon for Evil there. They've finally gotten a small victory in anywhere that isn't the 1v1 matchup. White main Lionel does actually come out for Esiek in this spawn. And it looks like Esiek actually just isn't going for Varuta, if I'm correct on that. We look at Water Blight. Yeah, I think he has the full debuff, so not even the first gas has actually gone out for Varuta. It looks like Esiek is just prioritizing the northern gases. Zoras finally lose Wetlands, but Gopanga Village actually did come out for good. This is going to just serve as a bit more of a thorn in Evil's side. Meadow is actually vulnerable now. Meanwhile, Selmy rebuilds the spot, and Bonsi has a small forward position to start sieging Evil from. Here comes out from Laboratory. Let's see if G-Unifier actually grabs the third arm to better protect his teammate and start going for more explosive rotates. Muzu does die while defending Zora. I think it was in disengagement right here. So Esiek, despite losing a Guardian Soccer earlier, does trade out in a delayed trade for Muzu. Borin actually comes out, so Southern Mine actually living quite a long time. Even though Bronator is ahead in this matchup, he's not making progress nearly as fast as one might expect. Right cannons on Zora's domain do go down a little bit, but Esiek does let a lot of mass kind of suicide up that ramp there. Slows down his push quite a bit. And Esiek has to be careful here, but isn't losing a ton of HP on his heroes. Forces back Zora with only really 2 full HP heroes. Refugee Camp does come out for Zoras as well. And now that Esiek has no mass cover, any pushes here will be pretty costly and slow, at HP-wise at least. GG Dento. Dento does come out. And that is going to slow down Esiek's pushes severely. Dento is a very powerful hero. At the very least, Muzu is down, but that might not actually be enough for Esiek, especially since his northern spawn is going to go down if he does not actually collapse rocks anytime soon. Meanwhile, in the south, a bit of a turtle matchup, although Trex is very close to actually fully stripping out by Noburus's cannons. Trex can just kind of 1v1 Dr. Maggot here, despite Dr. Maggot having most of his heroes. Actually, no, I think all of his heroes except the dragon for yellow. Nitro has actually been added to SCX Ball at least. Guardian Spocker almost going down there. That was a little bit of a delayed pullback. I don't think Trex really lost anything of no. I guess a bit of HP on Captain Tiaka. And I apologize if I actually am pronouncing a lot of the character names in this game a bit incorrectly. I have never actually played Legend of Zelda, so I'm just kind of taking my best guesses at how you pronounce a lot of these names. Somebody is at Yiga Fortress. We might be seeing Karakara Bazaar go down soon. But Yiga Plain Hideout also very, very close to death. All of these cannons have been stripped. It just takes one good to come over and finish off the spawn and to finish off the job. Esiek is camping a little bit. Oh, Nidra actually dies somewhere. Wait, where was she? Esiek's Hero Ball was right here. It looks like Nidra just did not actually path correctly. Maybe went into cannons. That's a big loss for Evil. More momentum losses, more strength losses on Evil is the last thing they need right now. Western Trail does get closed off on the Hebra Mountains, so at the very least for Esiek, any good pushes will have to be significantly more concentrated. But Sidon actually goes down to a delayed recall on this defiled spring. Esiek cannon targets and takes him out with Wind Blight. Dento also coming in delayed. I think if Esiek noticed, he might have been able to finish off Dento. And is Dento actually just going to Daichi's cannons regardless? Oh no! Esiek doesn't actually target the Dento hero. That could have been Dento going down for dubious MD. But luckily, a little bit of mass was also moved in with Dento, which made the mass get shot instead, narrowly saving Dento's life. Yiga Clan hideout does go down. I think G-Unit might have rotated on that, or that might have been Trex. Guardian Stalker does actually go down for Bronator, so Bronator actually struggling to push Goron even now. Goron Forge is still alive. Elden Cave Fortress does come out, so Bronator is probably going to get another hero in 2 spawn cycles, or gas cycles. Meanwhile, somebody is starting to push down Deku Tree. Since somebody has Skywatcher now, he has a bit more pushing power. Once Harbinger comes out for Ganon, that's when somebody will be able to actually start pushing more heavily. That early Aster loss really did slow down somebody's progress. Lost Woods does get bought, slows down any pushes on the Deku Tree, and remember that Rito Village is still alive. Blue Mane Lionel does come out from the defiled Spring of Wisdom. And Esiek actually in Goron temporarily, but actually recalls out before any real progress was made. Not quite sure why. Was there a drop on Meadow? Possibly. Unifier going for the Defile Spring of Wisdom. Esiek trying to respond here. All the cannons have gone down, and Unifier just pulls out. Zora's Domain did actually go down, by the way, so Zora is significantly weakened here. Ruto Valley and the Hyrule refugee camps do actually output plenty of mass for dubious MD, though, so he is not completely without strength. And don't forget that he also has Gopanga Village as well. These Hylian Rangers, although they don't deal a huge amount of damage like maybe Gyarados Shadow Initiates, they are a very nice microable unit. Tiaki does go down though, as Suga is traded out for Bularia and a Tiaki. Moldukin at half HP. Trex heroes are mostly healthy, but doesn't really have the mass cover left. Oh, unless Moldukin does go down here, the pathing here is pretty treacherous, so Dr. Maga might be losing Moldukin if he's not careful, especially if he runs him back and forwards. Why would you do that? Oh, Dr. Maggot loses Moldukin in that engagement. It looks like Yellow's on the way out now that Yiga's gone and Moldukin's gone. Tiaki and Bolaria did have to get traded there, but Holly and Riju are still alive, which is the majority of Orange's strength. I guess Patricia as well to some degree. Beetle dies as well in the east. But Windblight Ganon does get traded out, so I think that is actually a very good trade for good. Esiek doesn't actually have any morning off of Ganon. Actually, no, he has the first tier morning removed, but not the second. So Esiek's carry potential just hit the floor there. Dr. Maggot's carry potential also significantly lower with Moldukin dead. Really kind of comes down to somebody and Bronator now. But Bronator is still being stalled by Gorons here, having lost the Guardian Stalker earlier. Wetlands does get bought by Esiek. And the disc cannon doesn't actually get removed by the spawn, so Esiek can't actually leave this underground passage, or he'll actually just lose Water Blight. Bit unfortunate for him. Somebody once again pushing at the Deco Tree. Harbinger Ganon is out, so it is actually pretty good for him. Meanwhile, Calamity's finally out, So this is now we're starting to reach the late game with Calamity Ganon in the field. But Bonsi actually is a very strong, almost full strength, except Teba doesn't actually. Wait, did Teba go down? Oh wait, Teba might have died earlier if I'm remembering correctly. Yeah, I think Teba might have actually died earlier. So Bonsi still is pretty high strength despite having lost Teba. Oh, Rome actually dies. I think that was a trade possibly for Oldest Hingox. Dr. Maggots is about to be removed from the game in this double by G-Unit. Oh, if he's not careful though, Gloin does actually go down there though. That's a pretty nice pickup for good, or evil, but not if Guardian Stalker actually goes down in a bad dive. Ooh. Dr. Maggot rushes forward to try and take out another good hero, but there were like 6 in that area, which just deleted Guardian Stalker. A bit of greed after that pretty nice coin pickup makes it again just a 2 for 2, which favors good. Polly almost goes down. Remember that Naboris has an attack. The Divine Beasts all have attacks, and it's invisible, so people often will not expect the extra level of DPS coming out of despawn. Golf Course is up, by the way. And now Dr. Maggot is on just Thunderblight Ganon and these 2 spawns plus this one. Refugee camp is torched. Now blue is on only Ruto Valley, so even though yellow is severely weakened here, so is blue. And the Vomito is still alive, which does give Esiek a bit of time. But now green can solo push Esiek, which puts a timer on his life. Golden Lizalfos coming out of the corrupted wetlands for Esiek. Blue main Lionel actually dies though. I don't actually know where. Oh crap! Esiek actually missed Nidus with them. He accidentally runs them into cannons, it seems. Esiek just lost both of his melee heroes. That's a huge loss. Now Teal is almost completely out of heroes. He's on only Water Blight now and Golden Lizalfos. If Bronator does not finish his matchup quickly, Evil's probably going to attrition too much. And yeah, Bronator has been severely stalled in this matchup. I think maybe a rotate earlier in the game to just finish Goron faster would have been the play. And now G-Unit, even though he has suffered some losses, has basically full strength mass, with the exception of Temple, really. Blue and G-Unit Fighters mass are going... Oh, no, G-Unit Fighters heroes are here as well. They're going for a push on Esiek. They're probably actually going to get at this push. I don't think Esiek actually has much strength left in him to defend this. Water Blight Ganon, but not fully healed after all. Link actually comes out now, so let's see if Link is able to offset somebody's Calamity Ganon. Unit doesn't actually notice Link, so he is very lucky that Evil did not decide to camp him. Goron Forge does actually go down to this push by Bronator. And Fire Blight Ganon goes down. He did not get pulled back correctly. That was a trade. Fire Blight Ganon for Goron Forge. If Bronator loses too much finishing off Goron City, that would be basically game over for Evil. That would leave only somebody left to carry the Evil faction. But with Orange basically full strength, Green full strength, and White also mostly full strength, that's basically a 3v1. Or it's 3v2 kind of, because Bronator will still have a lot of stuff, but his pushing power is now severely negated with Fire Blight Ganon. Link is unrecallable. Did Link die? Wait, I didn't catch that. Did you guys see if Link died?
Yeah, Link died.
Oh, Car died. Link died because Gino couldn't recall him. Okay, that was a bit of a weird one. Golden Bokoblin also dies though. Golden Lizarphos also died earlier. So, despite G-Unit kind of just losing Link, Evolve Ruta is still probably going to go down here. Esiek is on literally one hero to defend this. And although Good doesn't have a ton of mass cover, say that as a ton of mass comes in for G-Unifier, so this should be the end of Ruta. I think Good has enough strength here to finish it off. Meanwhile, Goron City still alive. Bronator has not been able to finish it off. He's on 2 heroes as well, although I think he does have a melee somewhere. Possibly. Western and Eastern Gatehouse do go down, but these are supposed to really be reserved for the other 2 factions. So somebody grabbing both Gatehouses for himself might be a bit of overkill. Meanwhile, Orange is now pushing down one of the last spaces for Dr. Maggot. But somebody is in the area, so Dr. Maggot is not going to lose his source of Lizarphos just yet. Meanwhile, Bonsi is in the north, going to take out SCX's lab. Yep, one of SCX's arbs is down. So that does mean Vamedo is going to die here. Deco Tree does actually get dived by Bronator and goes down as well, though. So that's finally a bit of momentum for Evil, taking down one of Bonsi's bigger spawns. Somebody, even though he did lose Aster, actually hasn't really lost much else, which does make this push pretty hard for Good to contest. Good's going to have to try and 2v1 Ganon to be able to contest his pushes. Vamedo does get traded out for Tabanfa Frontier Camp, though. Hudson the Carpenter does die? Where did that happen? I'm not actually sure. Where did Hudson the Carpenter die? Guardian Skywatcher in the south of somebody's ball. He has to be a bit careful with that, not to lose him. Skywatchers are actually kind of squishy, and it's very easy to get them out of position. As I said there, Skywatcher almost goes down, 250 HP left. This is a 2v1 as long as Bonsi and Trex keep moving backwards. Oh, the chase on the Guardian Stalkers does actually finish off pass. That was pretty rough, but Guardian Stalker does get taken down from the back. Pinelli does also go down though as well. A little bit of uncoordinated focus from Good, and the cannons weren't really attacking the right heroes. Calamity Ganon and Harbinger Ganon and the Stalkers all going up the ramp for Rito Village. Rito Village might be going down here. Trex might be also be losing his Arbor. Trex has to be a bit careful there. Should be paying attention. Good job, good job. And this is a bit of a rough situation for Good because they don't have any space to recall in here and defend the spawn. They just lost 2 heroes as well trying to defend it. Bonsi's actually just on Hetsu now, which is quite a rough turn of events. Drenal actually dies in the Goron area. Drak is traded out for Drenal. So Bronator's almost heroless. He has the Talus Titan, I think, and Volga, and that's it, which is quite rough. Somebody is really just trying to claw the game back into Evil's favor. He's really the only Evil that's really capable of doing anything now as Calamity Ganon. After all, like, it's very, very difficult for a single Good to actually contest a Calamity Ganon because Calamity Ganon just has such a ginormous hero and mass advantage. And even if it's a 2v1, Good has to coordinate actually very well to be able to chase him off. Calamity Ganon also gets Armageddon off, destroys this entire Good hero mass ball. Runo Valley might be going down here as they right-click, but G-Unifier is here, so one of Ganon's heroes might be going down, but no, not quite, because they targeted Calamity Ganon instead of one of Squisher heroes. Nothing actually goes down. Pally in the south almost going down here. Rex should be a little bit careful. Mass alone can kill Tolly, and yeah, that's a rookie mistake. you can't underestimate large amounts of mass in this, especially since Stone Eye Spears almost deal as much as a hero each. Now, Trex is left only on Riju, and what seemed like a guaranteed good win earlier is starting to look more in the favor of Evil, as Good just loses their heroes trying to push Evil. Somebody, the main carrying force on Evil, has not actually lost anything major for quite a while. Really, it was just Aster early on in the game. So somebody might be able to just solo carry this game as Ganon. Wetlands have been cleared, Lufo's Bog has been cleared. And yeah, as the peripheral factions, Yellow and Teal, are cleared off the map, it really just rests on somebody with backup from Bronator to finish off this game. Hyrule is mostly healthy still. Gerudo, despite being down most of their heroes, still has all their spawns, which can output quite a lot of damage. And Rito still has the northern spawns still. Red also has a small enclave over here. So although Good is severely battered, there are still plenty of factions with strength left in them. But there's also going to be very, very few chances for Good to really try and strike out and take down spawns, because they're going to be heavily focused on just defending somebody. Somebody is actually here, so Ganon is going to finish off what Fireblight couldn't and finally finish off Goron City, it looks like. Isn't Bronator's mask like some of the best in the game? I feel like it is. Like, he gets a lot of these small palace leads, which are insane. Type of spears are also pretty nice. In the north, orange and green pushing down the small spawn Forgotten Temple. This doesn't really output a ton of mass for Fireblight, but it's a pretty free pickup. Fireblight doesn't really have a ton of stuff to defend with. Parade Ground does come out for Fire. If he actually grabs the mask upgrade on this spawn, it makes this mask quite a bit stronger. Somebody is actually rushing into Rito Village though. Nothing here to defend it. Rito Village is going to probably go down for free here. Unless somebody loses a hero to poor attention and a cannon target. But nope, it looks like somebody is playing it safe, grabbing the outer cannons first. And yeah, that's just Rito Village taken out in a free rotate. Good, just out of position to defend that. Dr. Maggot trying to deal with Bonsi. Bonsi's only on one hero, so this is actually a pretty evenly matched fight. Fire in the south, clearing out Mount Taran, it looks like. This is going to leave Dr. Maggot on only one spawn, Zonai Temple. But the good factions are actually losing spawns at basically the same rate as Evil, which is not good considering Calamity Ganon, when, especially in lower resource games, can just straight up carry the game by turtling forever at Hyrule Castle. Oh, Rohan and Bluto do go down in a bit of a botched push. Dento also getting very low, looks like Red was trying to just go for Water Blight. That is another nail in a Good's coffin. They've bled so many heroes after the mid-game this game. Goron City finally is destroyed. That's Red out of the game. Hayfury still has this spawn, and I think, yeah, 2 heroes, but his presence is going to be very muted. He does not have a lot of strength left in him. Sudden lag. Esiek is disconnecting from the game. Interesting. So yeah, quick analysis while we have a bit of time here. For the longest time in this game, I was thinking that Good was going to win. In the early game, Aster did go down for very little, and most of Evil's attacks were just kind of deflected by Good very effectively. They weren't really able to maintain any momentum going into the mid game. But then as the late game came, Good started to just bleed heroes, lose heroes while pushing Evil spawns, and Although Evil also bled heroes a lot, low resource game states in Breath of the Wild severely favor Evil just because of Hyrule Castle's immense strength alone. So even though there has been kind of even trading for good and evil in kind of the late game, Calamity Ganon is still enough to just solo the game for Evil because of that. Because Evil is kind of naturally favored in low resource states. And that's really, I think, how good lost the advantage, and now they're kind of losing to Evil. I don't really see a way for good to win the game anymore with such low hero counts. Every good faction is on 2 or less, I think, except maybe Unifier with a bit more. He has Monk, Pura, Impa, I think, and that's it. And even though 2 factions are basically out of the game for Evil, again, Calamity Ganon is solo, and he's going to be backed up by Bronator, who is still mostly full strength in terms of mass. Hero-wise, pretty gimped, but what can you do? Somebody is rotating in, probably to take out the golf course. This is some pretty annoying terrain to push down, but in the late game, when heroes are just so beefy and mass is so beefy, this cannon density can just kind of be ignored and pushed into. As long as somebody doesn't run mass heroes through in a dumb way, there's no way he actually loses much in this push. Ego Refuge does come down for Hyrule. We might be getting Dorian soon. And I hope this game does not devolve into a Call of Turtle. That would be not the most exciting to watch or to cast for that matter, but it does look like it. Because Evil's so low strength, they would have quite a rough time actually trying to push a Call of Citadel. Bit of a lull in the fighting. Every faction is just kind of moving to new positions. Golf course is going to finally go down to somebody. Riju Hetsu up here, kind of just sitting around. Dr. Maggot using some of the last mass he has, although he still has Zonai Temple, so he can always generate more, to try and probably push down orange here. Shadow Initiates are extremely strong units. Look at these 90 versus hero damage shots. Insane. So cutting that off would not be bad. While Spirit is sitting around here as well. There is a rock fall here, but it has not actually been bought. Dr. Maggot can just walk through and clear the Sheikah hideout out pretty easily. Unifier sitting around in the north, probably trying to defend against pushes by Bronator. Riju actually does go down in the south here. So that's basically Gerudo out of the game. Calamity Ganon can just basically one-push all of Gerudo's spawns at this point. And although Trex was looking like a huge powerhouse earlier on in the game, as he had full heroes, or -1 heroes, and full spawns, he just bled way too much while pushing, and now Evil can just go have free reign over the Gerudo spawns. I don't actually think Unifier has his ARB here anymore, so Gerudo is on their own. Bossy is coming in to try and reinforce, but there is not really a lot of stuff for Bonsi to help with. Dorian does come out for Unifier. That is as big as Unifier's Hero Ball is gonna get. Not much is lost for somebody as he just goes in and right-clicks the spawn, right-clicks Unifier's ARB, right-clicks Karkara Bazaar, loses nothing for it. And good GG's out. Calamity Ganon just did not lose enough over the course of this game, and in the end he is able to carry out the game against all these low resource goods. Let's just wait for Dubious MD to call it, and yep, that's it. Game 1 of this series goes to Evil, somebody's team, or Esiek's team, more specifically. Okay. If you're tuning into the recording right now, we have just started the second game of the 2023 BotW Wild Winter Tournament between... Oh, Aster almost going down there! The triple on the slave mine, or on the abandoned mines, does finish it off. Red almost takes out Aster there, but in the end, it was not quite enough. But Esiek might have lost. No, he did not actually lose his medics there. So if you're tuning into the video just now, I apologize. I just forgot to actually start the recording. What just happened there was a triple on abandoned mine at the start of this game, finishing off the spawn, and Aster almost not being picked up, or almost recalling out too late, and being traded out there, but not quite. And this is the second game of the series between Team Esiek and Team Gary in their bracket matchups. Team Esiek won the first game, and now we are on game number 2. If Team Esiek wins this game, they will win the series and move closer to the tournament finals. Esiek is on good, and Team Gary is on evil. Esiek is Goron, Bonsi is Fireblight, G-Unifier is Calamity Ganon, Roger is Naburus, and Hey Fury is on Ruta and Meadow. G-Unifier is actually over here now, going for Karakara Bazaar like I thought he would be earlier before I started recording. But Dr. Maggot is in the area to defend from this attack. Meanwhile, Roger's actually just going from the other side. Actually, no, he's just healing down here, not actually moving out a lot. Meanwhile, in the east, Hey Furies has actually gotten Forsaken Citadel relatively early in the game. And meanwhile, Gokapanga Village does come out for good because Evil was not really able to clear out wetlands. Dr. Maggot actually did get Lon Lon Ranch. So, G-Unifier's early triple on Abandoned Mine did result in good getting this fortified position. But it is a bit easier to take out Lon Lon as Evil than it is for good, because as Evil, you just kind of have more space to do it. You have more opportunities to go for. Meanwhile, as good, going for Lon Lon is a bit too slow, and you could be using that attention elsewhere. Although I guess you could say the same for Evil as well. Meanwhile, a little bit of a lull in the fighting. So far, Red is distinctly a little bit of a disadvantage, given that both Unibo Morning and Drac were denied in that triple. Meanwhile, in the south, Dr. Maggot is just resting at Gerudo. Bronator also just resting at Gerudo. Not really much happening. Patricia is a little bit low, though. Overrun Watchtower has been a little bit attacked, but almost hinging at the 8-minute mark. Windblight, or Moldukin, yeah, is going to come out. So, Good was not able to not deny Moldukin there. Meanwhile, G-Unifier finishing up our RU military camp, actually. Interesting choice there. And what else? Teal going for the bottom part of wetlands, cleared it out for potentially a future rotate by the rest of Evil onto it. Meanwhile, Dr. Maggot is actually attacking Overrun Watchtower. Roger is slightly out of position to defend the spawn. However, even if Watchtower does go down, Moldukin is already out, so it's going to be less of a devastating loss for Roger than it otherwise would be. Although, I do say that Overrun Watchtower does also give Yellow quite a lot of mass. Guardian Stalker actually goes down for Hey Fury. Windblight also goes down for Hey Fury. What was that? What just happened there? How, I must have missed that. A fight was happening elsewhere on the map. Hey Fury loses his Guardian Stalker and Windblight again. So, although this was looking like a pretty Evil favorite game at the start, Teal losing half of their strength already, is going to heavily swing this game back in the favor of good. Being down Water Blight and being down a Guardian Stalker is going to hurt quite a lot. Somebody is actually kind of low on Poseidon, though. He has to be a bit careful there. Lady Richu does get buffed by the mineral upgrade on Gyarados Palace. And Bladong does come out from Goron City. It looks like Goron City is just going to be the first gas. Esiek probably going to grab Ludo and then try for Bohrim. But that's going to be easier said than done. Typically, it's kind of difficult to defend the Southern Mine for that long. Or you might actually just maybe leave Borin and try and go for a Goron Forge. A little bit of a terrain bug we just saw there with Unobo being lifted up into the air. But now, Esiek is trying to defend against Bonsi here. He doesn't actually see Unobo. He might be losing Fire Blight here if he's not careful, but Unobo did not have the strength left in him to really chase that like that. I think if Esiek just had Bladon there, or maybe a few Goron warriors in the area, he would have gotten that extra 300 damage to take out Bonsi. What we saw there, I think, was Esiek just trying to exploit the bit of terrain here, making Unobo invisible to the eye. There are a lot of terraining details like that that kind of interfere with gameplay up north here. Meanwhile, in the south, Roger is defending against a double by Maggot and Bronator. Maggot actually didn't go for Monk Moskosha from Temple, which was a very interesting choice. And they're actually just going for Overrun Watchtower directly, kind of ignoring the Decayed Guardians here. Not bothering to strip. Patricia does go down in that push. I don't know why Bronator decided to poke again with a 1/3 HP Patricia. That was just instant death to 3 cannons and 3 heroes. Esiek is here trying to defend Thunder Mine. Roger asks for a pause, 10 seconds, so we have a little bit of a lull in the fighting. And again, I apologize for any just kind of panicking I was having at this very start of this cast. I was a bit disoriented because of not actually having the recording enabled. So yeah, apologies for that part, but I have kind of gotten back into the flow of this. I hope the casting for the rest of this game will be fine. And minus 10 points for Gryffindor, indeed, for pausing a tournament game for 10 seconds. I feel like we should have maybe legislated that a little bit beforehand, but it's fine. Everybody's agreeing on it. No Drac is very rough. Unobo, though, is also pretty strong. Waiting on Roger. Okay, somebody says they're all ready. Bonsi says he's ready. I think we're waiting on Roger, right? Since he was the one who requested the pause. And yeah, ready. Alright, everybody's ready. Somebody can just 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Resuming the game. Alright, back into the game. We have finished our little bit of break, and now we're back into the game. Roger is just, again, camping at Overrun Watchtower. Even though Moldukin is out, if Roger loses Watchtower, that's a lot of his mass down, so he still would rather have it than not. Bonsi trying to push down Southern Mine here, but Esiek has a lot of mass stacked up, so this push isn't going to do a ton. Bonsi is going to be focusing on the cannons, getting those stripped out first before going for the spawn itself. Ludo does come out. Let's see if Esiek tries for Borin or if he just goes for Forge directly, going for Rohan. Meditation comes out for Teba. Teba's still not mourned though yet. I think this animation is flight range being upgraded, so I think Green Abe is going to go for the mourning on Teba soon. Dr. Maggot is sitting at Wetlands. At the very least, for good, Wetlands has not actually been killed yet, but we saw this in the last game, even though Wetlands was taken out pretty late. Oh, wait, Link already out. Dr. Maggot going for a Link rush this game. That's why we saw a early Monk, which is very interesting. But Link is also currently quite weak. He needs to be healed up by an upgrade at the Ancient Sheikah Laboratory to reach full power again. Going to this Helios statue over here, presumably, with Link. Maybe? Dr. Maggot is just sitting Link over here. I'm not quite sure why. He might have a behavior right now that prevents him from doing stuff. Dr. Maggot is just pushing down actually Hyrule City by himself here. Plenty of these cannons to the right are actually pretty low density, so he can get away with it. Meanwhile, in the south, Roger is starting to poke at Gerudo Palace. Orange probably wants to buy Arbiter's Ground to protect it. He bought the Fairy Armor upgrade for Link. That was what it was. Yunobo dies in battle while trying to contest Bonsi over here. Yeah, really, without Morning, Yunobo is really sadly weak. Unifier is in the north, pressuring down Karakara Bazaar. Bronator is being pulled apart from two sides, and Maggot isn't actually here to defend him. I don't know where his Arbiter is. It doesn't look like it's in the area, though. Link is now fighting alongside Gorons, and Link is now fighting alongside Hylians and Sheikahs. I'm actually familiar with what that event text does. Teba Morning does come out like I expected, so Green is going to have quite the hyper-powered Teba hero. He is a very strong hero. And Hero West Summit is going to go down here. Dr. Maggot is going to keep pressuring Hyrule City, and if you look at this whisper by Witherald, he explains that Dr. Maggot actually gave Link to Goron, and then Goron bought Tarrytown, which is a very, definitely off meta for sure. The right side of Hyrule City has been heavily stripped here, so Gunfire is going to want to probably camp this city a little bit more, reducing the potency of G-Unifiers. Rotates as White can very easily force G-Unifier to recall back. Meanwhile, Southern Mine might be going down this push. There's a lot of mass on Bonsi's side, but also Esiek is practicing pretty decent mass control, focusing on just reducing Bonsi's mass cover. Southern Mine is not being dived on yet. That was just a bit of splash damage from Dinral. Golden Bokoblin might be going down here. Very nice control by Esiek, pushing away this attack by Bonsi, not actually losing a ton on Southern Mine. And this might buy enough time for Boren to actually come out. If we look at this, I don't think Goron Forge has been upgraded, so we are looking at a Boren attempt. Hyrule City actually does get dived on by, I think, maybe Dr. Maggot, or it might have been somebody. I'm not sure who killed it, but it does get dived on, and Hyrule City does go down. Now, G-Unifier does have 2 Guardian Stalkers, so he did actually grab the Guardian Stalker from Hyrule City already. It was not denied, but that is a plenty of mass. Meanwhile, Tali just straight up gets dived on inside of Gerudo Palace, cornered on the edge of the map by Roger and the G-Unifier. And now Gerudo Palace has been just destroyed, completely taken out. Yeah, it's very, very risky to defend inside Gerudo Palace because it has a lot less cannons than you would actually think. It's very easy to get overconfident in your defense and just get completely dived on because only the few cannons around Gerudo Palace are not enough to actually deter a dive like that. And the density of the cannons are actually really low. Like, a hero here can't even be shot by the cannon back here. And now Pretender Throne is up, and Yellow gets a bunch of Gerudo units. Boren has come out for SCX, so really we're just depending on some level of carry by the rest of the players on good, because Gyarados has almost already been fully cleared out. Moncrocia did actually go down while trying to clear out the Colosseum as well. Geofire is just going straight for Calamity Ganon, it seems. I don't think he actually got Lionel out. Yeah, he didn't. Guardian Skywatcher is out. He's now pushing down the wetlands with just somebody to defend it. I'm not sure where Dr. Maggot's Arb actually is. Karakara Bazaar does get sacked. Dr. Maggot's second Arb is actually down here defending Gyarados, but at this point it might be a bit too late. Breda Lookout is still alive, so Gyarados might be able to reclaim at least Captain Tiaki and stay in the game in the form of a single hero. Dr. Maggot actually has Link. So I think Esiek actually just returned Link back once he got Terror Town's probably what happened. Virtual Valley gets dived on by, I think that was Hate Fury, and actually goes down, so that was a nice pickup by him. Somebody was not strong enough to actually repel that push away. Meanwhile, Palu Wasteland has been bought by Roger. Roger just kind of scaling out of control. He has not actually lost anything significant yet, to my knowledge. Fire Blight Ganon does go down in the north, though. That's a pretty nice pickup for good. Link is fighting with the white ball. Really, just Link has to carry out this game. Maggot needs to try not to lose too many heroes so that he can maintain a carrying potential. The defenses around this spawn are frozen, and Dr. Maggot just goes in for the dive. This is a very, very long freeze. I was not expecting this long of a freeze. I must have forgotten how long it is. I think that was not a Stalnox deny, at the very least. Beetle the Merchant is a little bit low. Dr. Maggot has to be a little bit careful about that, but overall, White doing a ton of work clearing out evil spawns with the help of Link. Harbinger Ganon also comes out. Windblight Ganon comes out. Hetsu comes out. Koga comes out. Abe is pushing in the north, trying to get rid of the Drift's camp. But Meadow is quite exposed, but rocks have been bought, making any pushes pretty difficult. Riju is still alive for Bronator, by the way, so he is still present on the map. He also got Tiaki out. Fire over here with a kind of low Sheikah teleporter. Bronator might be able to snipe that off if he is crafty. He also doesn't want to be chased down by the Guardian Stalkers, though. Unifier does have two of them. Chayo and Abe, or Abe and Bronator, I mean, are here to defend. Bronator has to be very careful with Riju, though. Guardian Stalker might be going down if they are not careful, but there is no flank coming in by Tiaki on this Guardian Stalker from the left. Meanwhile, in the south, Dr. Maggot is continuing to push against Yellow. In the north, it's kind of a stalemate between Esiek and Bonsi. The Unifier is actually just clearing out some of these bottom cannons near the bridge. Tiaki is moved over to where Riju is. Does Bronator actually still have medics? I don't actually think so. That's an interesting one. Bronator moves his stuff over back in. Okay, Bronator does have a medic here, but he's just running around with a relatively low Riju. He has to be very careful here as Riju might be run down. Abe pulls away from that push on the Guardian Stalker and throws that pretty free Guardian Stalker kill. That was a pretty nice bait by Bronator, but Abe was not able to secure that Guardian Stalker kill because of it, which is quite a rough one. Akala Citadel also goes for the last stand. Nidra has been corrupt. Sandon Park also goes down. Lots of action just happened there in those last few seconds. Golden Lionel on the Death Mountain as well. Roger going in for Temple. Now, Temple has 3 gases in it, so this is a lot of mass for Dr. Maggot that Roger might be potentially clearing out. Dr. Maggot just has an Arb here, so let's see if he is able to chase away Roger. Abandoned Mine also might be getting cleared out here. Esiek kills the Golden Goblin in that engagement, which was a very nice pickup. Meanwhile, somebody is pushing down the Defiled Spring, and Abe is finally able to finish off this spawn right here, getting just a bit closer to finishing off Bob Meadow. Lon Ranch does finally get cleared out by Junifier. It looks like Junifier just did not really deem Lon Ranch that important of a target to clear out sooner. Because Waterblight is dead, somebody is having a pretty easy time taking out and contesting Hate Fury's ball. But with Yellow roaming around the map, Good is on a timer right now. They need to get as much damage in as possible before Yellow is able to completely take up their time. Temple does go down. That's a huge portion of Dr. Maggot's mass just gone. Moldeking is slightly exposed. If Link is fast here, he might be able to get Moldeking, but not quite. Link is very tanky. I think Dr. Maggot could have swapped Focus to something like Thunderblight again and actually gotten him. Looks that was a bit of a panic recall, missed opportunity there by Dr. Maggot. Meanwhile, Abandoned Mine, very close to actually being cleared out by Red. There's not a ton of defenses left. Esiek just needs to bide his time and get a good engagement so he can push out. Meanwhile, Riju is actually over here trying to just poke at Meadow. Abe is also here, so we should be seeing Meadow going down in this push. There isn't a ton of stuff. Riju is going for the underground passage here to make sure that Teal can't. Abe dies. Shield dies to cannons. That is really not something Good wants to be doing here. Losing heroes to cannons is the last thing that Good needs in this game, where they are already behind. That should have been a pretty free Meadow kill with no ARB and a damaged underground passage. Now Riju is also forced to recall out because of the mass. A huge tempo loss for Good. Esiek trying to defend against two factions here, and Esiek is a pretty strong hero player, but I don't know if he can actually defend against two factions here, especially with Junifier on Ganon here. Teal is facing down somebody at Ruta. This should give Green and the Orange an opportunity to finish off Meadow, but Abe is being a little bit slow here. He's not sieging the initiative to go there. He does have his ARB here finally, but he really could have kept it forward as well. And they really should have gotten that the spawn in the last push, to be honest. Chu really did not need to die to cannons there. Roger takes this spawn up north as a forward base. Now he has a place to pressure Frontier Camp and Rito Village from, as well as flight range. Aster is eaten by Calamity Ganon as well. Terrytown spawning a ton of mass for Esiek. This is probably how Esiek has been able to actually stay in the game for so long, just using that Terrytown mass. Although he actually doesn't have a lot of Terrytown mass in his ball right now, so this is probably a recent buy. Still very nice for him. A Bombard, an Elite Guard, Horseback Wanderer, Hylian Knight, which is very nice DPS. It's also a Rito Archer, and a lot of other things. And I don't think that's maxed either. Gopanga Village does get massacred by Roger roving into the area. Teal is here. We might be seeing Wetlands get bought here. Is Blue Lionel out for P-Fury? It actually isn't, not to my knowledge. Dr. Maggot is starting to pressure down the File Spring of Wisdom from the west here. He cleared out Larnyu Citadel quite a while ago. Lake Hylia does get settled, so Good has this bit of space to use as a base. There are two heroes here, so it's a very nice way to get power spikes as Good. Yellow is still just almost entirely uncontested, which is not something Good really wants to see. Roger should be able to really just finish off the rest of the Goods very easily. Riju does get swung on. There are no Guardian Stalkers in this balls, I think, so At the very least, Riju is not going to go down for Bronator, but Abe is in the area to finally finish chasing off... Oh no, there was a Guardian Stalker there, so I guess Roger just chose not to really chase there. Nothing does die in that engagement, so very nicely, Abe is able to chase away Roger. Meanwhile, up north, Ganon is attacking Goron City with Bonsi. Harbinger Ganon does go down to Esiek. That was a very nice pickup by Esiek, but now Esiek has lost most of his mass. He doesn't really have the strength left in him to defend the city. But at the very least for him, Evil has also lost most of their mass cover, so their push has also stalled. And Esiek is now just kind of left hoping that he will have enough mass to defend the next push against him. Lion Patrols dealing about 50 damage minus armor, which is very nice. Tabafun Village does go down. We might be seeing the western forces of green being cleared out soon. Wetlands does get buffed for Teal finally. Tiaki's service does end as Bronator loses Tiaki while defending Rito Village from over here. Meanwhile, Dr. Maggot again going for Teal, goes trying to finish off Teal at the very least, and since Water Blight is down, Teal is going to be at a reduced strength, but Wind Blight, Nidra, and Stalnox still being alive means that Teal still can put out quite a lot of damage. Rohan the Goron Smith does die to this encirclement by G-Unifier and Bonsi. Red's heroes actually get out of that alive somehow, despite being almost entirely encircled by evils. But that's still Rohan going down for Esiek, which is not ideal. Guardian Skywatcher almost going down to that mass wave. That was pretty close for G-Unifier, all things considered. But this is Goron City going down. Now, luckily for Esiek, he did actually get Terrytown, so he is going to have a continued presence on the map with mass. Bladon, Chief Bluto, and Bohrin are still alive for him, which isn't terrible. Blight Range does get destroyed by a roving Roger, though, so Abe's kind of advantage in this game is also starting to fade away as he loses heroes and spawns. Meanwhile, Roger continues to be uncontested, almost entirely untouched except for Mount Hinox. Will Dr. Maggot be able to carry out this game as it gets into the later stages is the question now. Bento is a little bit low in this push. Blue Main Lionel, does die there. And King Boss from Ramus does get his morning removed, which is very nice for Dr. Maggot. Has Dr. Maggot actually gassed Nintendo Village at all? I don't actually... I think he only got Beetle. He hasn't gotten Hudson yet. Oh no, he did. But where's Hudson the Carpenter? Did you get him earlier in the game? I'm not actually sure. Maruta does get taken down by a triple by Good, which was very much needed. Next horse right here. Mifa's Spirit dies immediately to G-Unifier pushing down Zora's Domain as they were finishing off Ruta. And that is G-Unit finishing off Zora. Zora has nothing in their homelands anymore. They are left to only Lake Colony as their spawn. Having Mei in somebody's ball is pretty nice for him, though. Wait, where is Mei? Speaking of which, I don't think Mei died yet, but I don't see Mei in his ball either.
I'm pretty sure she just died.
Oh, she just died? Okay, fair enough. Koss dies to Roger. Abe does not actually have the strength to contest Roger directly right now. Roger is completely uncontested. Meanwhile, the siege of the Akala area has begun. Bonsi starting to strip out the outer cannons on the spawn. We might be seeing a Akala turtle later on in this game. This is a very small choke that Good can basically just permanently camp at. But Evil is doing a good job at stripping out the outer cannons, making the defense a bit harder for good as they move on into the later stages of this game. Wetlands has been dived on earlier, by the way. The spawn is dead. Canale, the leader of the Rito, comes down to fight. So that is Rito Village at Gas 4. Selmy, Spot is out for Abe as well. Prince Sidon dies to Calamity Ganon, it seems. And, ooh, blue, somebody loses his ARB sitting at Rito. And orange also loses his ARB sitting at Rito. Both good ARBs there, just going down to dives by Roger. Canelli almost going down. Canelli's only at level 1 right now, so she's very, very squishy as of right now. Roger just kind of sitting at the front of Rito Village, probably prepping to take the spawn down. And yeah, he's just going to right-click the spawn, ignoring the mass, ignoring everything. Guardian Stalker might be being picked off if he's not careful. And no, he doesn't actually lose the Guardian Stalker. Roger has, ooh, over on Watchtower does go down, but Boss Varamas Hyrule dies to a attempted dive on Moldu King. Moldu King does go down to Link at the very least. Speedo almost going down though. Meanwhile, 3 of SCX's heroes just all die at once, trying to defend Akala from a Bonsi. No Drag, no Yunobu makes Red's Ball very low DPS. And at this point, I don't really see how good wins this. They can maybe turtle at Akala for ages, but Dr. Maggot actually lost a ton in that engagement. Because as a general rule, if you are behind in a game, you do not want to actually trade. That just puts you further behind and leaves you with less defenses and less resources. Now, every good faction, I think, is on very few heroes. Somebody's, I think, is on 3 heroes, or maybe just Dento, actually. Never mind, the entire Zora Hero Ball all dies in that engagement. And yeah, I think that's GG. Good lost almost everything. Bonsi and Hate Fury are grouping up. Actually, no, I don't think Hate Fury is there. But Bonsi is starting to push down Akala Citadel. Despite being only 1 faction, he's actually doing some pretty good progress on the spawn. The siege of Akala has begun. Roger did buy Siege Camp, but he's not actually here to attack Akala with Bonsi. Meanwhile, Hate Fury is camping Stalnox over here as he's using just Wind Blight, which is interesting. Dr. Maggot using Link over here to defend Akala. We have G-Unifier here, we have Bonsi here, and we have Roger sieging down the Deku Tree. As it's asked his team if they call it. Ooh. Yep, Dinral does go down to a bit of Miss Micro. He stops in front of all the cannons and gets vaporized. Skywatcher might be going down if they are not careful, but Link actually dies because he dives into 6 heroes of evil, trying to go for that greedy finish on Skywatcher, and Dr. Maggot calls GG. Every player calls GG. We should be seeing good back out of this game very soon. Abe tries just going for a final kill on the evil hero ball, but loses everything for nothing.
The Clown Fiesta.
And yeah, the Hylian Maggots have all left. Evil wins the 2nd game. The series is now a tied point 1-1, with both Team Gary and Team Esiek having 1 win. We now move on to the final game, where we will probably have to decide the teams with a coin flip, unless both teams want different sides. everyone, this is Mr. Larryman. I will be casting the third game of the series of the Breath of the Wild 2023 Winter Tournament between Team Esiek and Team Gary. This is the third match. This is the tiebreaker match of this series. We have Team Esiek, I think, on good, and Team Gary on evil. This will be for all the marbles. The winner of this series is the winner of this game. Looking at the rosters for this match, we have Esiek on Goron, Horus, who is a sub on Rito and Kurox, Dr. Maggot on Necluda, Genifire on Ganon, Bronator on Gerudo, Roger on Vadnabrurus, Bonsi on Fireblight, and Hey Fury on Ruta and Meadow, and somebody on Zora. Start of this game, we have Genifire rushing around near the front, near Lon Lon, slowing down any good progress on the cannons in this area. Because I would assume he is getting a Arbiter over to Abandoned Mine. But actually, no, it looks like Gary's actually going for something new this game. He does not have an Arbiter at Abandoned Mine. Instead, he has an Arbiter at Yiga Fortress. So this looks like it is going to be a triple on Kara Bazaar at the start of the game instead of Abandoned Mine. Switching up from last game where Gary's team tripled Abandoned Mine at the start of the game. Teal is here, and now we are watching the triple go in as Roger on the Boris comes in from the back, and we'll be getting a bunch of progress done on the south side of Gerudo Palace if Orange defends Kara Bazaar. Kara Bazaar has been right-clicked, but Evil has lost a lot of their mass covers, so they might not actually be able to get the spawn here. It's going to be pretty close. Aster is actually... Kara Bazaar does not actually go down. We have 100 HP left. That was super close. I think if Evil was just a little bit faster, or if Dr. Maggo was a little bit slower, Kara Bazaar would have gone down there. So a bit of a botched triple at the early game. I think Roger really should have been there to support, but nonetheless, Kara Bazaar is not going to last much longer here, and Evil did not actually lose anything for that at the very least. Lon Rance does get bought by Dr. Magus, so that does deny the spawn for Evil, which is pretty decent positionally. Somebody actually grabs Gopanga Village while these frontier cannons lining the river crossing are still alive, which actually slows down Ganon significantly. At least the push on Larnu wetlands. Meanwhile, Kara Bazaar, I'm not really sure if Orange is actually gassing Kara Bazaar first, or if he has written it off as dead and is swapping over to Palace. We'll have to wait and see on that. Meanwhile, Roger is defending the northern spawn Yiga clan hideout with Hate Fury. Rome Bosporama's Hyrule is a little bit banged up, as well as Bronator having lost all of his mass. But Thunderblight, right now he is weakened, so he will not be able to actually solo Rome, at least while he is surrounded by mass. Windblight Ganon does go down to Patricia and Riju. Bronator grabbed Patricia first instead of Kara Bazaar. Again, 400 shields on Kara Bazaar are taken down, but the spawn does not die. The greed does not pay off. Windblight dies early, which is always a devastating loss for Evil. Windblight is one of the strongest heroes on the Evil Hero Ball, and right there, it got sniped down by Bronator. Good pickup by Good, defending Kara Bazaar with a smidgen of its HP left. Genifire and Hey Fury still have their arbs in this area though, so they might be coming back to it in some time. Shrine of Power does get bought by Bonsi pretty early on. Meanwhile, a slight lull in the fighting. Bronator is trying to poke up this cliff, but it's not really worth the effort right now. I think he does want you to stash up his mass and his hero HP to defend against attacks by Genifire and the rest. Kara Bazaar back up to 700 HP or so with that natural spawn regeneration. Meanwhile, Esiek has cleared out Unibo's Morning. Bronk comes out for somebody. Bolson's company is set up here. Drac comes out, so Abandoned Mine has been fully upgraded. Esiek, this game has not been taken out of the game immediately, so we may be seeing some pretty good performance from him this game now that he has actual resources to work with. Harp, it comes out for Horus. He actually grabs it from Frontier Camp, reading off of the build order he was sent. I think the next build order up gas upgrade is Teba Morning. I'm pretty sure that is. Guardian Stalker is gotten by in the city ruins, so G-Unit opts to grab Hyrule City first. He might be going for Ganon's Malice afterwards. Esiek is actually just pressing Bonsi directly in this 1v1. Esiek is quite a good player, so he may be just confident enough to fight Fire Blight Ganon in the straight-up 1v1 matchup and kind of lose a little bit of his mass cover in the meantime. Meanwhile, in the south, it looks like G-Unit and Hayfear are not here yet to grab Karakara Bazaar. Instead, G-Unit is over here clearing out these cannons by wetlands. So the evil pushes have actually been mostly stalled. A lot of their progress has not come to fruition. Their plan to kill Karakara Bazaar hasn't really paid off yet, and there is not a lot of other progress in other areas of the map either. Boulder King does get brought to half HP, but Gerudo loses most of their mass. If Dr. Maggot isn't careful, he might be losing Rome as well. He pulls back a little bit too late, but it's just enough for him to not die. And Karakara Bazaar, again, loses all shields, loses a bunch of life, gets left on low triple-digit HP, but still lives. Esiek is just pushing in the north. Honestly, I don't think trading mass like this is quite worth for Goron, because he's still not going to be able to push very effectively against the cannons regardless, and it just leaves him more vulnerable to triples. Tully actually comes out from Karakara Bazaar, so devastating loss for Evil. They are not even able to deny Tully off of a barely alive Karakara Bazaar. Very rough situation. But for Hate Fury, he has gotten Larnu Citadel. In the north, Golden Bokoblin on Fire Blight Ganon does go down. That's a nice pickup by Esiek. It's a pretty decent amount of DPS considering that I think the Bokoblin reduces the armor of hit enemy heroes, which makes mass deal significantly more damage. Roger does have Moldeking, of course. While Good was trying to defend Karakara Bazaar, they were not able to take out Overrun Watchtower, which does make sense. Patricia is quite low. Orange has to be a bit careful about that. Karakara Bazaar finally goes down, but it requires quite a lot of effort by Evil to actually take down, and one may say that's not actually worth it, and I would probably agree. Meanwhile, in the north, Esiek finally finishes off the cannons patrolling this area, so he's actually in a pretty decent spot. Now, Southern Mine is being pushed on, so he has to be a little bit careful. Esiek uses the grapple, I think, on Yunobo to go forward a little bit. I'm not really sure what the point of that was, though. Guardian Stalker is poked a bit. Yunobo, very, very tanky, but this is a lot of mass here around the Bonsi's ball, so he can't just straight up dive into there with Yunobo to try and go for the Guardian Stalker. He should be bringing over his mass, but he is actually not. Unifier has his ARB over here. Both ARBs over here, actually. Might be going for Deku Tree early on. Meanwhile, a little bit of a lull in the fighting. More pushes on Southern Mine by Bonsi. Esiek finally moves his mass ball here. I'm not sure why he wasn't doing that earlier. Arbor's Ground does come out for Gerudo. And Dr. Maggot starts sieging down Hyrule City. At the start of this does seem kind of like a repeat of last game. It's at the very least for good strategy. A lot of their plays are very similar. Meanwhile, for Evil, they went for Karakara first instead, and really did not get as much progress as they might have liked. Teba Borning Morning is done. Chlorine comes out for Dr. Maggot. Dento comes out for Zora, somebody. And so far, it does seem like Evil has not made a lot of progress. They are a bit lacking in momentum. When Blight dies, the early Evil target is not really that effective. Now, Poly Wasteland does come out, which is quite a pain in Bronator's backside. This is a very annoying spawn to deal with as Orange, at least alone. And where is Dr. Maggot's Arbiter? It is up here, but he might get his dived on. Uh-oh. Yep. Dr. Maggot loses his Arb to mispositioning as Roger dives into the Arb. Although, is that even a dive technically? Because there are not really that many cannons here. Rear Lookout might also be going down here if Orange does not respond in time. A lot of the mass of Roger was taken out there, but that doesn't really mean a lot. Brone probably wants to gas this spawn at least once so that Tiaki comes out before it's too late. Somebody has an Arb at Goron City, probably to defend it against any potential rotates. Maybe Abandoned Mine might be attacked at some point. Meanwhile, in the south, not much is happening. Roger has not decided to go for Cloyne, Laurelin Village. And Teal is starting to try and solo push Wetlands, but this angle is actually pretty bad for him. Sidon actually goes down, though, which is very surprising. That is quite the bad turn of events for somebody. Stonenox did get focused there, but Water Blight Cannon, the Guardian Stalker, and the Mass was enough DPS to take out Sidon, especially since I'm pretty sure Sidon didn't get mourned yet. Somebody was going for Dento and King first. Patricia does die in the south to Roger as well. Captain Tiaki does come out though. He is not going to be denied here, or she, I mean. Lady Riju has to be a little bit careful. Riju is quite low. And now that Bronator has recalled out, I'm pretty sure Breeder Lookout is going to go down in this push. And indeed, Esiek has Chief Bluto now, making actually a lot of progress, just pushing into Bonzi head first. Typically in this matchup, Fireblight Ganon wins, but in this case, Esiek is actually winning his matchup as Gorons. Habafam region is free from Divine Beast Vomero. Horus actually going in for a very fast clear, well, relatively speaking. Stonenox does die down here, so that loss of Sidon is partially made up for by the delay trade on Stonenox. Horus actually performing quite well despite this being basically his first game, getting a pretty fast Vomero. Teba also gets the meditation session. He is now hypercharged. A very strong hero. Many people would consider Teba to be one of the strongest heroes in the game. Roger pushing down Arbiter's ground. Bronator should be a bit careful with Riju here. He's running Riju back in with half HP. Quite greedy there. Meanwhile, Refugee Camp has come out for the Zoras. And Esiek continuing to push down. He might actually be getting the Bridge of Elden if Evil is not careful. Wario Military Camp does get pushed down by G-Unit Fire, but this is kind of a useless clear, so I'm not really sure why G-Unit has been spending the effort to finish this off each game. Hyrule Castle puts out a Guardian Stalker. Now G-Unit Fire's ball has two Guardian Stalkers. This game he actually went for the Silver Lionel, by the way. Green is now down at Gerudo. Horus is trying to salvage Gerudo's position because even though Karakar Bazaar did not get totally denied, Bronator is still pretty far behind because losing Bazaar makes it very difficult to defend against Yellow. Forsaken Citadel did get cleared in the meantime, by the way. Horus, now that he's free, is going to help Gerudo finish off Yellow. Meanwhile, Southern Mine has not been taken out yet by Bonsi. And I don't actually think Borin actually came out yet. Esiek went for Bluto first before Borin, I think. Thunderblight Ganon has been fully mended, I believe. And indeed he has. Wetlands has died, but Village is still alive. Horus is in the area to defend. Chio is slightly injured. Let's see if Horus actually heals Chio up before another push. Hetsu the Smith is out, also up. Sandon Park finally dies. It's very easy as Ganon to actually forget about Sandon Park. Nidra and Dinral both get bought at the same time. 2 extra heroes in the Hero Balls of Evil. King Dorphin might be going down here if he's not careful, but somebody actually manages to save King Dorphin because Hate Fury runs back due to a focus on the Guardian Stalker. But Dorphin, again, not being moved back. This is a very greedy play by somebody not recalling out of Dorphin. Blue-maned Lionel actually gets hunted down as a result of that bait on Dorphin. But Hudson the Carpenter does actually die trying to push down Mount Taran. Dento might be going down here if somebody's not careful, but actually, Hafer is forced to retreat because of a focus on the Guardian Stalker. Somebody is... Okay, he is actually shift-clicking Dento, continuing to push with Horus on Teal. With only Water Blight and a Nidra, Hate Fury might not be able to actually repel this push. Meanwhile, in the south, Roger continuing to attack Gyarados. Horus has actually rotated over to here to defend Gyarados instead. Meanwhile, somebody is up here defending the Deku Tree against any rotates by Genofire. That was a very nice response there, denying that rotate. Good cover by Good. Hate Fury trying to seize initiative, go for a few cannons on somebody's spawns, but somebody is in the area already. Suga does come out for Roger as well. Palu Wasteland, half dead, might be going down soon. Pura does come out, so we might be seeing a third arc come out for Dr. Maggot at some point. Bohern finally comes out for Red. I think the last hero left for Red to get is Rohan. Roam and Cloyne finish off Mount Taran, and Lost Woods does get bought to just delay the death of Deku Tree a bit longer. Hetsu did already come out though, so no hero's wicked denied if it gets killed by Genofire. Waterblight Ganon has been fully mended. While in the north, Bonsi attacks Abandoned Mine. Esiek still has a pretty heavy strength here, so there should not be a ton of progress being made on mine. Ramali's Spirit did get killed there. People tend to be a little bit careless with the spirits, so they die pretty easily. And meanwhile, SCX's mask cover has actually been heavily reduced in this fight. Breck almost going down. Actually, no, he does go down in a trade for the Igneo Talus Titan. Honestly, I think that's worth. Yeah, that is definitely a worth trade. Titan is very nice. He kind of gives a AoE buff to all nearby masks that's actually very significant. And although Drag is a lot of red single target damage, I think the denial of the mass buff easily makes up for it. Rune Coliseum finally is being sieged down. It looks like Dr. Maggot is not opting to finish off Hyrule City. Genofire has rotated out over to start attacking Deku Tree again, but this is going to be quite a slow push with Lost Woods being out for good. Meanwhile, Horus is just in the south, sieging down Overrun Watchtower with a Bronator. Maybe Yiga Clan Hideout would be a better target here, but they might want to just slow down the output of Moldugas. Lady Riju's upgrade has been bought, by the way. Moldukin does get targeted pretty heavily, goes down to red HP, but Bronator might want to be careful here and not making the same mistake as last time, getting cornered in his own spawn without being able to fight back. Aster also goes down near here. Gina loses it in a rotate. Very nice. Horus flames Gina in a BM, saying easy. Very cocky of Horus saying that as a first-time player in this game, but he's not doing bad for sure. Fire Black Ganon does get taken out by Esiek up here. Unibo does get traded out for him, but again, I think that's worth. I feel like that is worth. Fire Black Ganon deals a lot of damage, and I think it's AoE. Hylians have rebuilt their fort here. This is generally a very nice power spike for Hyrule, and good in general because blue can then buy the May spawn. Cass comes out on Naruto Village. I think the last hero left for Horus to get is Canele. And Genifire has been heavily stalled at this area. Horus is doing a very nice job at just stalling the enemies. Meanwhile, Roger going in for another attack on Gerudo Palace. Or no, actually he's going for Arbor's Ground, going for the southern approach instead. Horus is not here to defend. It will just be Bronator himself defending this push. Roger leaving a little bit... Oh, Guardian Stalker, one cannon shot away from death. That was very close for Roger. Very tight and 2D wire, that attack. Genifire still just camping outside Lost Woods, but with Horus sitting here, there's not a lot that Gunna can really accomplish. Somebody still just pushing down Babruta very slowly, killing like one cannon at a time. Or actually no, covering for Dr. Maggot as he takes out the Foul Spring of Wisdom. Hey Fury does have Nidra. Dento has to be very careful. Harbinger Cannon does come out, replacing Aster and Calamity Ganon's ball. Muzu comes into the fight for somebody, and Bonsi goes for Southern Mine with his stuff. This is a lot of mass, so they will be able to deal a lot of damage to the spawn if they want. Golden Lionel does get chased away from this fight. Then Raul is not actually being focused. Instead, it is the Guardian Stalker, but not quite enough as Bowrin gets targeted down by all of the Bonsi mass. That was a 1-for-1 Golden Lionel for Bowrin. I think that slightly favors Bonsi, but now he has no mass to defend this push, so he gives Esiek a little bit of a free push right here. Bladon gets a little bit focused, so Esiek has to retreat to heal. Bridge of Eldon still alive, by the way. And yep, Hylia Lake Colony does get bought by somebody. Power spikes down here. 2 heroes for good. Gerudo Palace was actually taken out by Roger with a surprise double by Genifire. Looks like Horus was not able to respond in time to save Palace. This is a pretty big game-defining move right here. Evil might have turned the game around with this play. Pretender Throne also bought. Now Gerudo is on no spawns. They can rebuy Coliseum. Patricia's death, so they can't buy stables. And if Watchtower ever dies at some point, Gerudo can rebuild here as well. But for the near future, Gerudo is going to be a 4-hero faction with no mass. Unless he just throws all of his heroes into the yellow hero ball, that would be a huge loss. Bularia does go down. Captain Tiaki almost goes down, but maybe to a slight missed target. Does not, but still, running Bularia into yellow like that and losing her for free is not a good look. Red going again for Gorko Lake Guardian. Esiek defending here, but he doesn't really have that much mass cover. He has to be a little bit careful. Divine Beast Vavruta finally goes down. Actually, not even finally. 33-minute mark for Teal to be dead is fairly standard, all things considered. And now somebody is freed up to do whatever. Even though Gunfire is actually breathing down the refugee camp, now that somebody is freed up from Teal, he can start properly responding to these and starting to attack Genifire. So now we have 2 good factions free, with only 1 evil faction really free to counter them. Right now, it is definitely a favorite game in terms of good. At the very least for Evil, though, they were able to faction wipe Gerudo with that very nicely timed rotate. Beetle does die just trying to dive the spawn. Really, I don't think diving the spawn is the right play, but that is what happened. Ludfil's Bog does get settled by Roger. Overrun Watchtower does get taken out by Bronator's roving heroes. Mei comes out for somebody. That is a very nice, just extra bit of DPS for somebody. And now somebody can start sieging down Fireblight Ganon with Esiek. Abandon's Mine is not even killed yet for Bonsi, so... Well, I say that, there is going to be some focus on the spawn by Bonsi, but Bonsi is also losing a lot of his mass cover here, so I don't think he can really continue this push any longer, and yep, he is forced to run away from this 3-hero Esiek. Abapa Frontier Camp does get killed by Roger. Of course, is going to have to try and just negate Roger, defend Roger's attacks. Ooh, he accidentally moves his Arb into Roger and lets it die. That is a bit of a misplay there by Horus. Hyrule City does die here. Gorko Lake does also die. A lot of evil spawns starting to go down. And Horus just defending against Roger. Oh wait, no, Hay Fury is also here. That is why there was so much DPS in this area. Horus has to be very careful not to lose too much here. He does not have his Arb in the area, so if he gets cornered, he can't come back to Rito Village. Luckily for him, Bronator is here just in case, but Bronator was not actually needed as Horus forces the recall of both Yellow and Teal. Very good play by him. Windblight Ganon is not alive, so the Western Gatehouse can't actually be bought by Teal, so Teal is just out of the game in terms of spawns. Lost Woods do go down, so Deku Tree is a little bit closer to going down, but somebody is also pretty high strength. I don't think he lost anything other than Giotto. Parade Ground also rebuilt, so Dr. Maggot is now going to start getting supercharged mass. He might be able to get the mineral upgrade on a call of Parade Ground as well that supercharges his mass even more. Ancient Secret teleporter right here. Horus intercepts the G Unifier Arb. Very, very big pickup by Good. Now G Unifier cannot rotate nearly as much, but the problem for Horus here is that he can't get back to Rito Village in time, so that might have been trading an Arbiter for Rito Village. One can think of it that way. Oh, but fight range also is probably going to go down here since Horus just cannot actually defend. Yep, flight range does go down. Let's see if Rito Village does go down as well. Horus finally got over here, but not fast enough to defend flight range. Horus does have a mass advantage over Unifier. Unifier doesn't actually have any mass with him, so he is going to be depending on Roger to cover him where he can. Harbinger Ganon does go pretty low. Horus hero is mostly healthy, but Roger has plenty of mass cover, so he can't just straight up try and contest. Chio does get chased down by that move, attack on move. Guardian Stalker, very rough. And Bronator trying to defend from inside the spawn. Nidra and Water Blight are at Deku Tree trying to take out the spawn. There are not a lot of cannons left over, so these two cannons, or not cannons, heroes alone can actually take it out. Mei dies in battle on somebody's ball, which is probably not ideal for Good, but they have enough of an advantage that is not going to severely impact their situation. Volcanic activity does go up for the Death Mountain. Now, any good mass in the area will lose health slowly. They can't just camp in this area. Bladon gets Gongoron, so Esiek is back up to 4 heroes. Dam does come up for Zora. That is a pretty good spawn in terms of mass output, although I would prefer this one if you're just going for mass. Lufro Bog does get cleared out by Dr. Maggot. Guardian Stalker does die on Roger's ball as well. Somebody and Horus are going for a double push down in this area. Now, they have to be a little bit careful, but they actually forced a recall for G Unifier. It looks like Evil actually can't contest this ball of mass and heroes, which is very interesting. That's kind of a sign that Good is really pulling far ahead once Evil can no longer contest good hero balls in a relatively even fight. Now, given that Teal did not actually have any mass with them. Roger in the area, probably prepping for an attack on Rito Village, but Bronator is in the area, sees the attack, and is able to warn his team and get in position to defend it. G-Unifier will not be here on account of the lost ARB from earlier, so it's going to be just Roger pushing here, which possibly is not enough to actually finish off the spawn. Meanwhile, though, Roger still has most of his spawns alive. He is still very high strength. Zelda grabs Link. Link is now in the game. Let's see if Dr. Maggot forgets about Link. Also, Hyrule Temple is still alive, interestingly enough. That gives him, yeah, this thing up here is the boots, I think. That gives Link 0.1 speed. Rito Village does go down, actually, over there. And the Typhlu Ruins are taken out. A Guardian Stalker is also killed on Bonsi's ball. I think Bonsi's last hero is just Blasphemy Dinral. Deku Tree does die, though. The Master Sword has been denied for Link. Coin gets taken out on Maggot's ball. He was in this area trying to take out Roger, but Roger is still very, very strong, so Good has to be very careful while trying to attack him. Pikongo also goes down. A little bit of a lull in the fighting. Every faction just kind of getting in position. Hey Fury is actually just trying to push down a few random assorted outlying cannons. Maggot and Horus are gathered in front of Ganon's castle. I don't think this is the time to start going for Ganon's Malice, though, because Roger's still alive, and yellow spawns are a lot more vulnerable than Ganon spawns. Same with Fire Blight, but Fire Blight is about to go down, I would assume, in this push. And that leaves Esiek fully free. He is down 2 heroes, but those were traded heroes, and he still has all of his spawns, which is a very nice one. And he also has Gemini Mountain's Mine. He'll also be able to get Gut Check Rock, which outputs very nice elites. Then Raul goes into a Nidus Worm, but I think Bonsi might just be losing here because because he's completely cornered. And the Nidus Worm, yep, the Nidus Worm dies with the spawn, so you can't put in the Nidus Worm at either. And yeah, that's just Fire Blight completely removed from the game. They have nothing left except a handful of cannons. And this ARB that is about to maybe go down? Not quite. But he also has no mass to use them ARB with, so it's basically useless. Esiek and somebody are just clearing out these cannons. Arguably, it's not really necessary to do this, but it might be nice if they ever get Gotchuk Rock to not lose the mass to F2. Oh, they were actually going for the ARB. Interesting. Party Town is also bought, so Good has Turtle Akarla set up if things go south. Good overall in a very strong state. Red basically untouched, down 2 heroes of course, but with a lot of spawns and a lot of mass. White basically untouched, down a few heroes. Somebody basically untouched, down 2 heroes as well. And Horus on no spawns anymore, but still with a respectable hero ball. Rome and Impa both die at once. That is a pretty rough engagement that Dr. Maggot just took right there. That is going to set... and Orange still has their hero ball, by the way. So maybe Good can leverage the remaining heroes with mass. But losing 2 heroes like that, Dr. Maggot might have set back the situation of the Good side. Now that they have a lot less pushing power. Calamity Ganon is out after all, but at the very least, Link has not died, I think. Bronk dies in that engagement as well. Suga might be going down, no, but not quite. Moldy also doesn't go down, so that's just somebody also losing another hero. If Good starts bleeding like this, they might be throwing away their advantage. They have such a good state right now, but if they lose all their pushing power, they won't be able to actually contest any of the evil spawns, and evil will be able to just slowly kill the rest of good. Because it's infamously difficult to actually push Ganon's Malice while evil is defending it. And good's actually just gonna go for Ganon's Malice directly instead of finishing up yellow first. I would argue that yellow is more vulnerable and can be taken out first. So I am a bit confused about their target analysis here. But a lot of these outer cannons are quite vulnerable and are a free pickup. So maybe I am wrong here. Yell is in the area to defend. Hyrule Prison hasn't actually gone down yet. Of course, with some of the last of his mass, is probably going to try and finish Hyrule Prison. Long Long Ranch does die to Roger, but now Esiek is down in the south, pushing down Roger's spawns. Abandoned Mines actually gets destroyed by G Unit Fire, so that's the first actual spawn loss for Esiek. But at the very least, he does have other spawns to make up for it. Coliseum does get bought by Gyarados, and Link is now using Mipha's Lance. Chief Bluto does die down in the south. That's the first non-trade hero loss that Esiek has had this game as well. Yeah, if they're not careful, Good can still lose their advantage this game just to poor positioning. And indeed, where's the Northern Arb? The Northern Arb is all the way on the other side, which gives Unifier a little bit of time to just push uncontested here. But Unifier also recalls out. Where is Good going to push from here on out? Hyrule Prisons can still be finished off. Eastern Gatehouse is an option, although this is a lot of high-density cannons. Pass dies, which, again, Good bleeding heroes is definitely not a good sign in this late stage of the game. Oh yeah, cloaked units. Does Evil have cloaked units? Oh, they do, the Yiga units, because of Suga. Good, in theory, still has a lot of ways to scale. You know, Teba, Canelli... Teba's still alive, right? Yeah, so Horse can still buy this. I think somebody can still buy this. Yeah, Muzu's still alive. Sell Me Spot can still be bought. This place can't be bought anymore with Unibo dead. And... this one also can't be bought anymore, so... Good actually doesn't have as many options as they might have used to, now I think about it. But they still have plenty of buys for at least a little while longer. Bellamy Ganon grabs the Hyrule military camp. This is a pretty high turret count spawn, all things considered. But it's also cheesable from the back, I believe. Esiek is actually going in for a frontal assault. Guardian Stalker on Hay Fury actually gets destroyed there. Western Gatehouse comes out for Ganon. Interestingly enough, they're not going for Roger spawns, they're going for Ganon directly, but this gives them more time to bleed heroes, more time for Roger to finish off spawns. I'm not sure if this is the right move here. Since Gunnet's only on one ARB, he won't actually be able to defend Roger. And again, Good's also just going in one at a time instead of as a collective force, which is also really hindering Good's pushes. Right now, Good's a little bit uncoordinated. Nidra does get taken out here, though. They might be just finishing off Hay Fury here. Zora, oh, I forgot about this one. So yeah, Zora also has the Shrine of Wisdom, so somebody can continue to scale. Even though he's only on, I think, 2, maybe 3 heroes. No, I think 2 heroes. It's still a good position to be in. Rohan does die for Esiek. Esiek is starting to bleed heroes. Luckily, he does has pretty nice elites in the form of Blood Brothers, which may make up for it. Restore Coliseum is going to go down. Gyarados is going to go back onto 0 spawns. Pretender Throne has been out for a while. Good, probably could have gotten it, considering that Roger's ARB doesn't recover it. Unifier and Roger in position to try and push down Hyrule Temple. Bronator in the area to defend, but Maggot also going to be losing actually nothing there. I thought he was going to be at least lose one of the medics, but not quite. Unifier also running through a ton of mass of somebody and Horus. Muzu gets quite low there, but nothing is lost. Eagle Clan hideout does get destroyed by Maggot. Link grabs some... Oh, wait. Link runs in with Pura to actually grab a banana, but Pura gets cannon focused down. That was an unnecessary loss. That probably hurts quite a lot. Ducky can actually buy the Sheikah hideout, which may be pretty nice for good. But now, finally, Roger is starting to lose mass. I think the Yiga hideout was fully maxed, so that is about 1/3 of Roger's mass just gone. Junior Teleporter doesn't move out. It looks like Dr. Maggot isn't actually going to join in on this push for some reason, because he is trying to defend against Roger over here. Horus is being chased down by Roger, but again, it's not going to be enough to actually lose anything. And now Roger is going to be attacked at the Pretender Throne. Hylian military camp also going down. So yeah, even though Good has been losing a few heroes, it hasn't really been enough to turn the game around. Good would have to lose quite a lot. And they have stabilized and started to really take out Evil's corresponds. Unifier going for Goron again, but Goron spawns right now are pretty heavily defended. He might be able to get Forge, but I don't think he has the strength to really take out City. Pretender Throne does get taken out. Now Roger down to one spawn within the span of a minute and a half. Goron Forge is being pushed down. I do expect Goron Forge should possibly die this push unless... Oh wait, Esiek is in the area to respond, so he can defend this now. That might make things a bit better for him. Good is just massing up stuff. They were repelled from the south by Roger since he does have max HP heroes. Interestingly, Hyrule Temple still has not gone down. I find that very, very interesting. Typically, the temple would have gone down ages ago. Has Monk actually come out yet? Maybe... Construction Company is still alive, so Maggot can go for temple gases, I'm pretty sure. Oh, Dr. Maggot going for a very greedy forward recall into this area. Grabs both of the medics, but he might be losing Link here if he's not careful. But nope, Link does get out in time. Very nice. Western Gatehouse is killed along with two medics for Evil. They're not bothering to finish off Naburus, probably because they're anticipating that Roger would be out of position. Horus is going to be flanked here. He might be losing Canelli. Nope, not quite. Gets out with red HP, 560 or so HP remaining. Horus's ball. He's actually controlling this ball very closely. Unless he actually has a spawn that I don't actually know about. I think he's been keeping this stack of mass alive for quite a while. Oh wait, no, he does have a spawn. He's far on Serine. Northern cannons over here are being cleared out. Esiek is going to go in for another attack on Malice. Esiek is hesitating a little bit, runs back a little bit. Gongoron is being targeted. Bladon is also being targeted. G-Unifier on point with his cannon targets. Esiek is going to have to retreat here with both of his heroes at red. Bronator also loses both of his heroes and Link also dies in that engagement. That is a huge turnaround for Evil, killing Temple and 3 heroes like that. This might actually turn the game around for Evil if they can keep up the momentum and maybe snatch a few more hero kills before anything else. Now Bronator, I think, is only on 1 hero left. I think Tiaki? Yeah, Tiaki. He is on only Tiaki left. Lucky for him, he can get Sheikahs and get pretty nice leads to make up for it, but I'm not sure if that's really the play here. Money might be tight for good.
I love that pronunciation, Tiaki.
Wait, what is it supposed to be?
I thought it was Teak.
Teak.
Wait, is it Teak or Tiaki?
Well, it's Yuck. It's Teak. And then you
Okay.
just play too much Stellaris.
Maybe. Alright. Anyway, somebody is now pushing down Eastern Gatehouse from the eastern approach. Unifier does recall in to respawn, but the Eastern Gatehouse might be going down here. The mass is being right-clicked onto it, but there's just too much mass from Unifier in the area to prevent the dive. Meanwhile, the western side of Ganon's Malice is somewhat exposed. Dr. Maggot is actually pushing down Vanaburus now. Roger is here to defend the spawn, but he is also being reinforced by... Oh, wait, no, but Bronator has nothing left, so the reinforcements from Bronator don't really mean that much. Really, we're waiting for a big quad push for good, with white, red, green, and blue, and maybe Bronator staying in the back to grab ganks. Harbinger Ganon dies in disengagement. That is a pretty big loss for Evil. Evil cannot afford to be losing stuff here. Lionel dies and Harbinger Ganon dies. Calamity Ganon, although he is a very, very strong hero, cannot solo fight. He does not really have that much DPS. So, unfortunately for Geno Fire, he might not be able to actually defend this push. Maybe with a well-timed Armageddon, he can delay it a bit more, but this is two fully maxed factions of mass. And white isn't even here. Guardian Skywatcher might be going down if they're not careful here. Dr. Maggot rushing in from the left, losing a lot of his mass though. I think this is majority mass for Dr. Maggot. I don't actually know if he has any heroes left at all. Roger is going in for the Lake Hylia 4 and Hylia Lake Colony as Ganon's Malice is being pushed down, but I feel like that's too little too late, especially since Good has a ton of spawns. Baron Shrine, all of these spawns over here as well. Meanwhile, in the east, Genofire is just desperately trying to slow down this push, but there's more and more and more mass just pouring in every single cycle. Hylia Bridgeforth does go down, but Roger doesn't even have an ARB here. So, Genofire is on thin ice now that even more reinforcement mass comes in for good. Genofire is on only heroes and turrets at this point. And if he's not careful, he might be losing the Guardian Stalker there. 200 HP left, forced to retreat. Gongoran and Bladon pulling out a lot of DPS. Guardian Stalker does go down for Genofire. Bladon does die for the Guardian Stalker. Canelli also almost dies and lives at 30% or 30 HP points. And now finally Good runs away from this engagement. Horus with several super low heroes as well. Oh, and then Canelli gets intercepted from the right by a well-timed Roger. Teba might be run down as well if Horus is not careful. Luckily Hetsu has 3.1 speed, so he only loses one hero there. Eventually, Good's mass did run out, but Ganon's Malice is at half HP now, and with basically no cannons left. Even though Good did lose Canelli and Gongoron, or Bladon, they did get a Guardian Stalker for it, and there's no way that Evil will be able to defend the next death push once Red and Blue have max. And we're not even considering Dr. Maggot in the actual equation, because he still has max mass that he can send. Although I don't think he has any heroes left. Yeah, I know. Roger's ARB here is in the area. Gotta be careful. What is Bronator doing, by the way, while he's here? Might be AFK, considering Tiaki Peak has been there for quite a while.
Stick with Tiaki, man. I like it more.
Tiaki it is. Of course, getting a ton of value out of the Pharaon Shrine, by the way. You get Temple Guardians, which are pretty insane. Ooh, Esiek almost losing his teleporter. Very good for Esiek, paying attention there. Not running his Arbiter into all of Roger's stuff. Gongoron gets traded for a Guardian Skywatcher down here. Esiek has to recall over to defend his spawn from Roger. And now Esiek is on no heroes left, but he has a ton of mass. 1, 2, 3, 4 spawns worth of mass. 5 actually. He has Gemini Mountains Mine. So even though Esiek has finally lost all his heroes, he has done a very good job this game, trading well with his enemies and being a force to be reckoned with throughout the game. Dr. Maggot has moved his ARB up from the southwest to get some mass over here, but now he's moving it back. Wetlands finally gets bought. I forgot this wasn't actually bought yet this game. That's interesting. Good is probably going to push down just Clam again in this push though. Unless Roger is here to prevent it. So they just get targeted by somebody, but the mass alone is not going to be enough. Somebody probably wants to be pulling out here. Oh, and Bonsi going in for a flank with only mass from Forgotten Temple. Literally, the temple. Wait, the temple is so forgettable that it lives up to his name and is forgotten this entire game. Ganon's Malice does get dived on by Esiek though. His ARB dive actually pays off. And Roger also almost loses his ARB there as well. Huge play by Esiek getting that. Very important by him. And now the only spawns left in the game are Forgotten Temple, Wetlands, and Roger. So Roger's by Navarus. So that is 3 evil spawns to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red spawns. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 white spawns. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 blue spawns, and 1 green spawn. So we can see the disparity here. With that very well-timed recall dive onto Ganon's Malice by Esiek, with only mass, mind you, that probably just won the game for good there. Although the writing has been on the wall for quite some time. Wetlands does go down. Esiek is starting to go for Forgotten Temple, and very soon we will have Van Navarus going down. Let's just see if Roger is able to turn the game around with an unprecedented hero wipe. Somebody still has Yato. And Tiaki is still out as well as 3 Horus heroes.
Oh, that was close.
Horus heroes alone might just carry this. Like, Horus having his 3 heroes alive is very nice for good, for sure. Yiga Siege Camp gets spot. Very interesting there. Akala is being pressured a little bit here, but Roger doesn't really have the strength here to just solo siege Akala. If he loses all his mass trying to siege Akala, that means he can't actually defend Naboris. And the siege camp just gets immediately destroyed by a ton of somebody mass combined with Horus's heroes. And Dr. Mega also over here. Suga going pretty low in this fight. Boldukin using his AoE to take down a ton of HP on the red mass, but the red mass is just way too strong. Another actor bug on the Stone Smasher here is going to... These beams are going to go all the way over to where Suga is, or whichever unit was targeted. Also kind of exposing where the recall was placed. Roger recalls into this little entourage of good mass, but somebody is right here, so he can chase off that Roger dive pretty easily. Koga does go down here. Moldukin might be going down as well. Yep, Moldukin gets pushed by Thunderblight Ganon. Remember that Moldukin is technically a ground hero. And that was probably the last hurrah for Evil. And Unifier calls GG. Good game.
How many ways does Nakuda have by the end of the game, Miss Tarima?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 if you count the construction company.
That doesn't spawn mass, so we don't count it. So it's 7. Yeah, no way that Evil wins this. Even if they killed Sora or Gorm at that point, it's like impossible to win.
So, yep, that is the series concluded. Team Esiek wins the series 2-1. Team Gary has been defeated. Thank you all for tuning in. This has been Mr. Larryman, and this has been the 2023 Breath of the Wild Winter Tournament.
That was